Hello YouTube, today I'm going to be making a cheeseburger soup. What's a cheeseburger soup? It's like it's going to be a sauce, a cheese sauce, the same kind of thing more or less that I make from macaroni and cheese, but it's going to have hamburger meat in it, and later in the end it's going to have lettuce, tomato, and pickles. It's going to be really delicious. Oh, and it's going to have beer. That's the best part right there. So I'm making myself a cheeseburger soup with beer and a lot of cheese, lettuce, tomato, pickles, and everything. So first of all, let me tell you all the ingredients I have. 2 cups of milk, a can of beer, 2 cups and more of shredded cheese, a shredded white cheese and some shredded yellow cheese, half of an onion, some lettuce and tomato, 2 tablespoons of flour, and let's get started with all that. We start by taking the pot that we're going to cook the sauce in and putting it on medium-high heat for now. And we're going to put a nice 2 tablespoons of butter in here. 2 tablespoons of butter with 2 tablespoons of flour. We're going to let that melt and then put the flour in there and whisk all that together. Now that the butter's melted down, we're going to throw in the half onion. You have it minced up really fine. We're going to cook this until translucent, maybe about 3 or 4 minutes. The onions are translucent now, so I'm going to add the flour, the 2 tablespoons of flour, to go with the 2 tablespoons of butter and the onions. Just mix it all together, make sure all the flour gets incorporated. And cook that for maybe 5 minutes to get the floury taste out of the flour. These onions have been cooking down for about 5 minutes now, so I'm going to start adding the milk. Maybe half of it at first, then the other half, and then the beer. So let's put about 1 cup of milk in there for now, and mix that all together. And now we can turn the heat back up. We had it on medium-low while we were cooking the roux, the flour, and the butter and all that. Now we're going to add the rest of the milk, the other cup, and let's also add the beer. Just pour it all in there. Why not? And get all this mixed together, and then we'll bring this to a boil. Once it basically reaches a boil, I'm going to start seasoning it. I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, it's basically almost boiling, so let's flavor it up a little bit. Now remember, don't put in too much salt now because we're going to be putting in a lot of cheese and that's salty. So we'll see how that is afterwards. So now we're just going to put in less salt. To your taste, basically. A cracked blend of 3 different peppers, red, white, and black peppercorns. And let's turn this down a little bit so it doesn't boil over. And finally, spice-wise, a little bit of paprika. And I'd say about a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. Worcester sauce. So let's mix this all up and taste that. It's good and tasty, but I'm going to give it a little bit more pepper. And a little bit more paprika for now. And now let's add the cheese. We have 2½ cups of cheddar cheese. We've got 2 cups of white cheddar and about a ½ cup or a little bit more of yellow cheddar. Just put it in there. Get it all in there. This is basically a cheese and beer soup that just happens to have cheeseburgers in it. Well, not yet, but it will. And we mix all this in there. It'll start melting immediately because of the heat. And just keep on stirring occasionally, and now we're going to get started with the hamburger meat. So anyway, let's get started breaking down the burger meat. And get started with that. We're going to use basically a little bit less than a pound of ground beef. So we have it here. And what we want to do is we're not going to start breaking it up right away. We want to get burn marks on the outside of this block of beef. So let's heat the pan up until that's hot enough. So like I said, let's cook this almost pound of ground beef. Put it in the pan without breaking it too much. And we'll start breaking that down when it gets a little bit crusty on the bottom. When we do it this way, it makes sure there's going to be some crustiness and crispiness. Start slowly breaking it up. Now let's spice this too. Basically, just salt and pepper and a little bit of Worcester sauce. When this hamburger meat is done cooking, I'll put it in the soup. Now, since the hamburger meat is basically done cooking here, I'm going to turn off the stove and I'm going to drain off this last bit of grease from the pan just so this meal can be somewhat healthy. And I'm going to throw in the hamburger meat. It's already reduced a little bit, but we want it nice and thick. Like the consistency of a clam chowder, more or less. But anyway, let's throw in this beef. We basically got most of our cheeseburger soup done. Let's mix this in there. But anyway, we probably want to cook this for about half an hour, so it's nice and thick. And the beer is almost completely cooked off. That's really good. So we've got this to the consistency that we wanted it. It's thick and everything, not too thick because it's going to continue thickening up a little bit more. But anyway, we're going to turn off the heat and start plating this up. So, let's take a nice good amount because we are hungry. Put it in. Now that we have this plated up, we're going to put in the lettuce and pickle. And we're going to chop up this tomato too and put that in there. And cut it into nice bite-sized pieces. And we'll put that in there. Then, we're going to mix it around a little bit. And this is my cheeseburger soup. Here we go, everything that a cheeseburger has besides the bacon and the bread, but we're gonna get the bread out now. So, here we have it. We have ourselves the cheeseburger soup. Here it is, it's wonderful, it's delicious, it's really hot. I'm gonna try some of it now. Get some tomato in there, a little bit of pickle, so it can cool down my bite a little bit so I don't burn myself. It's like a cheeseburger, just in a soup. So, it's really good and delicious. We got some hamburger buns here. And I'm gonna pour myself some Coke and start eating this. Thank you guys for watching as always. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.